for 10 years. And you can income-based repay over a 20-year period right now, and there may be some changes to that going forward. But these are new strategies to really get a more diverse workforce coming in and dealing with what they found in Texas, where they did get half of the students back, and they found that half of those, that when they surveyed all of those students who had left college, they left for social and economic reasons. They didn't leave for educational reasons. They weren't failing out. The classes weren't too hard. They were good students. They could complete college. I call that sort of a low-hanging fruit strategy. It's great to get the students back, and it will help our adult workforce become more highly educated if we do that in the short term. But the long term is really to increase the quality of what we do. I'm just checking the time so you'll have a chance for questions. Now, one of the things, as I said, the president launched, and really if you should read the McKinsey report, which was a report that talked about American competitiveness. It came out last April. It's a great report. It talked about the human capital we lost. We lost over the last 30 years. The McKinsey, talks about how we lag behind other advanced nations. We've got countries like Canada that have 51% of Americans already, have degrees. We're at about, as George said, I think 42%. George, I usually say 40%. We've got students of color lagging 2 to 3 years behind white and Asian students. If we had closed the international achievement gap over the last 25 years, the GDP in the U.S. would have been $1 to $2 trillion higher, and that's between 9 and 16% of the GDP. For those of you that follow healthcare, healthcare is 16% of the GDP. So, and remember, I'm only 6 months in Washington, but there is an urgency to this that I think all of us in the Obama administration really feel. We can't continue to slide back. And if we don't have a variety of game-changing national strategies to really reshape education and turn it around 180 degrees literally, we will not have a productive and competitive America, whether you look at our social prosperity or economic prosperity or just, the human capital and the wealth of talent in this country will go elsewhere, and we can't afford that. We've got to have the best R&D. We've got to have the best labs in our research universities. We've got to have our best public education system that can benchmark certainly above, Korea and Canada and China and other countries that are really working fast and passing us by. So we've got the American Graduation Initiative. It's one small step forward, but it's a great step for higher education. We'll probably have somewhere around $5 billion more that'll be bid competitively for colleges and universities. We have a Community College Challenge Grant to really focus in all of those funds on access, completion, and quality. And I really want to underscore the quality conversation. If you get a chance to look at the work of AAC&U, they've spent many years now, and they've released a variety of reports talking about, what employers expect from higher education, what are the documented learning outcomes that we want a college degree to mean, much less a high school diploma. So we've got to do work in the area of quality to really showcase where the students are graduating with high-quality courses, high-quality performance. I always say, accelerating high-quality performance in our students is really what should be driving our Obama administration for higher education. And those will be competitively built. We are working on the strategies now. Right now, it's H.R. 3221 passed out of the House. It's in the Senate. We're expecting it'll come out of the Senate in January, February, and probably come to the floor sometime in February. So it's very exciting work. In that, you'll see $500 million devoted to online resources. All of this, whether it's the access and completion, the community college challenge grants, the open education grants, all of it, and you'll see this in Race to the Top for K-12. You'll see it in the I3 fund that's going to be announced, $650 million for innovation. All of it will be competitively bid, public and private. We want partnerships, we want consortia, we want the best players in this country to do the best work to get us to the president's goal, and we see that everyone can participate in this. It's not just for one sector, and that's really important because all of you have told us you want flexibility for the partnerships that make a difference, and that's very exciting for us. I want to say just a minute about Race to the Top for K-12. We've really seen a tremendous amount of focus in this country on what happens when the government announces a $4 billion competition that requires states to look at what Arne Duncan calls the 4 assurances of what we want for students in K-12. What we want is schools to adopt internationally benchmarked standards and assessments that prepare students for success in college and meet what I talked about, college workforce-ready standards that are comparable to any other fast-growing, high-performance country in the world. We want to recruit and retain effective, reward teachers, professors in higher education, really be able to, in K-12, principals and teachers are core to this mission, professional development, pre-professional programs in schools of education, all of that is going to be central to really become the best in the world. Building data systems is something we talked about at a breakfast right before that measures student success and inform teachers and parents about how students are doing and principals about how schools can do a better job and improve their practices. We don't use the data we have. We need to do a much better job connecting the data systems that we have so we can have a system like they have in Florida, although there are issues, but I can just point to Florida where they've integrated the UI wage data, what students and families are earning with K-12 academic data and higher education data. So we have to do a lot better at that while preserving sort of the fundamentals of privacy and other kinds of things. And then there's another 4th assurance that Arne Duncan has talked about for K-12, which is to really turn around our lowest performing schools in the country. It's a tragedy when you look at major urban cities and 60% of the students aren't graduating from high school. Nationally, it's 27% aren't graduating from high school, over 1 million students a year, and a student drops out every 26 seconds in urban centers. Some places more than 60% of students aren't graduating from high school. So, when people say, where are the students? They're here in this country. We've got to get them back. We've got to get them back into higher education. We've got to get them finishing K-12 with high quality performance, and we've got to move forward. We do have an Investing in Innovation Fund that's very exciting. Jim Shelton is the contact there. He came from the Gates Foundation. It's looking at taking $650 million into 3 pots of money, scale-up grants. These are large grants with a research base that have the potential to reach hundreds of thousands of students. We have validation grants. That's a second level of funding within that, which is existing and promising practices that can be scaled. And development grants, great ideas that you have that can be tested, ideas with potential. So you'll see the government really struggling with, how to embed innovation in the areas of authority that we do have. And that's very exciting for us. And we're actually reaching out. We want to get the best people evaluating those. This isn't a core competency of federal government. Our core competency is working with the Hill, the Capitol, and identifying what's working and doing more of that. So we need your help to evaluate these grants, to help us think about the ideas for moving that forward. But you'll see in all of it a focus on improving student achievement, closing achievement gaps. You'll see that in K-12, early learning and higher education, decreasing in K-12 the dropout rate, increasing completion rates in college, increasing high school graduation rates, and improving the effectiveness of the teaching and learning going on in the schools. So we're very excited about that. We're using the ERA funding to do that with the $4.3 billion Race to the Top. We're going to be using those kinds of models in the American Graduation Initiative. You see it in the I3 fund, and you'll see us taking hopefully some risks where we can move forward and really build on the best of the best. We really can't go forward in America in the 21st century without a commitment to improving technology and really leveraging technology in new and different ways. It's already changed the world. I was really glad in that same CNN program I watched this morning with the helicopter going up, thinking about robotics and things we could do to do that, but I was really excited.